Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Mal and I am so happy that you're here. I go live every single week in my Patreon member Facebook group. And on one of the lives, I had an idea to try this like mica brushstroke finger painting technique. And so we did it on the live and it ended up looking like the Northern Lights. So it really worked out. Everyone was joking in the group saying it looked like blown up Northern Lights. It was finger painting, all kinds of, it was really fun. So from that idea stemmed this tutorial. This also goes to show that if you have an idea in your head and you think it might work, just try it. You never know how it'll turn out. It could end up being a really, really cool end result. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I really hope that you enjoy the video. I am going to be doing a glitter Northern Lights tutorial too coming up in the next month or so, so keep an eye out for that. I do want to show both techniques. This one is using just mica powders, so I hope you like it. Everything I'm using is linked down below in the description box as always, and if you want to get in on the exclusive Patreon group action, the link is down below in the description box as well. We have a lot of fun over there. Okay, I think that's it. Let's go! We're going to be using two separate cups for this design. The first one is a limited edition cup from Craft Haven. It's a powder coated black 20-ounce skinny, so you just take it right out of the box and it's ready to go. And the second one is a 30-ounce traditional. I picked the one with the dark lid, and I'm going to spray paint it with flat black from Rustoleum. We are using mica powders for this Northern Lights design, so I'm going to mix up 60 milliliters of epoxy. Since we're doing 2 cups, I'm doing more than normal, so if you're doing 1 cup, just remember you'll do about half of everything I'm doing here. So I'm going to mix up that epoxy and then I'm going to let it sit because I really want it to thicken up before we apply it to the cup. So while it's sitting, I'm going to measure out all of my mica powders. I'm using first Halo from PDB, and then I'm going to use a lot of the vanishing colors from Simply Sarah. These will show up really cool on black, so they all look kind of the same in the container. You can kind of see what the color is on the edge of the container, but they all look like just plain white powder until you get them on the black cup, and then the magic happens. So I've got Halo from PDB, Vanishing Lilac, that was Vanishing Copper, and now we have Vanishing Rose, and I'm just taking a popsicle stick and scooping out a pretty hefty amount because I'm doing 2 cups. So just remember, if you're doing 1 cup, you don't need this much mica powder. Vanishing Blueberry is one of my favorite colors. It's absolutely beautiful on black. And then I thought to add in a little bit more of a fun color pop. I would use Barbie from PDB. This has kind of an iridescent shift in it a little bit, so when you put it on black, it has a really cool reflect. Once I had my micas all distributed, I set a timer for 30 minutes and just let the epoxy sit and thicken up a little bit. And now I'm going to put on my gloves. I double glove on my right hand because we're going to do a lot of smearing on there and I don't want to rip my glove and get epoxy on my hands. And I'm going to pour between 5 and 10 milliliters of epoxy into each cup. The more mica I have in each cup, the more epoxy I'm going to add to that cup. You don't want too much, but you also don't want too little. So I'm going to mix all of those together and now bring my cup on my turner, and I'm going to apply these with my turner stopped and then kind of let it spin as I go in between colors. But ideally your epoxy is thick enough that it's not going to travel as your cup spins. You don't want the epoxy to move horizontally on your cup and create like horizontal movement. You really want everything to just kind of stay either like upward kind of diagonal or just regular vertical. So here's Vanishing Blueberry. Holy cannoli, look how beautiful it looks once you put it on the black. It just like immediately comes to life. And what I'm doing is going in these little like brush stroke motions with my finger and going from the top down to the bottom and then from the bottom up to the top. This is all really, really random, very organic. You don't want perfect stripes. You don't want everything to be perfectly spaced. Really just have fun with this. This is literally just mica finger painting. So have a good time and don't overthink it, okay? So the next color is Vanishing Lilac, and I'm just doing the exact same thing. I'm just kind of brushing it onto the cup with my finger here. And you want to, if it gets too messy with your thick epoxy, you can take a baby wipe and just wipe off your gloved finger to get any of that extra epoxy off, or you can just replace it with a whole new glove, whatever you're comfortable with. The next color we're using is Vanishing Rose. This is a really, really pretty subtle pink, and I'm just doing, again, the exact same thing. And you can see here that some of the colors are kind of starting to mix together in some places, and that is perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want these to start to blend together, so you'll see that I'm not really worried about, touching the blue or the purple as I do these little brush strokes on here. I want this to all blend and flow and look really organic. The next color is Vanishing Copper, which is absolutely beautiful. It's a very, very rich, it almost looks gold, but it's not Vanishing Gild. That's the next color we're going to use, but they do look very, very similar. And at this point in the process, my cup is really starting to fill up with color, so I'm taking this Vanishing Copper and just blending all of the colors together. And now I'm going in with Vanishing Gild. So you can see it looks very, very similar to Vanishing Copper, but when you're up close, you can see a little bit differently. They show up a little bit different on the black. And now I'm really going in and just blending this with all the colors. You can see I went right over that purple, blue, pink area, and it really gives a lot of dimension, and the layering is what makes it look organic and what makes it look like the Northern Lights. So do not be afraid to blend. Don't be afraid to layer these on top of each other. Remember, all you're doing is finger painting, so just have fun with this. The next color we're taking is Halo from PDB. This is similar to Vanishing Gild and Vanishing Copper, but it has a really beautiful shimmer to it. It just gives this nice sparkle, and it just really elevates the whole design, I think. So I'm taking this everywhere that I see black and just filling in all of that black space. And then finally, once I've got my cup pretty much filled up, I'm going to take Barbie, also from PDB, and I'm just going to do very, very light touches of this. Looking at it in the medicine cup, you would think, oh no, that's way too bright, it's going to ruin it, but it doesn't. It gives just a really nice little pop of color, and it has a beautiful opalescent shift almost, like you can kind of see there. It has a bluish purple reflect. It's really, really pretty. So once I've got my cup pretty much all filled up with micas, I'm going to just let it spin and cure as normal. The epoxy is thick enough that it's not going to move anywhere that I don't want it to go. So then I'm just going to very quickly do the exact same technique on this powder coated skinny. And what's great about this technique too is that none of them are ever going to be the same because this is so organic and random. So you can just go in and have fun, spread this all over however you want. By this point, my epoxy was thick, like so thick. It was really hard to spread on. So if you're planning on doing multiple cups with this design, I would recommend mixing your epoxy in batches, because after about 2 cups, your epoxy is going to be done. You're not going to be able to do anything else, but you do need it to be thick so that you can do the technique. So just keep that in mind as you go. I'm going to keep the 30-ounce traditional just plain as is, but I'm going to add a few more elements to the 20-ounce skinny. So I cut out these trees, this tree silhouette that I got from Etsy, and I just cut it out on regular black Oracal 651 vinyl, and I measured the width around my cup. I just used a soft like sewing measuring tape, measured the width around, and then made my image a little bit wider than that so that it would have a little bit of overlap and we would have a seamless finish all the way around the cup. I added my transfer tape, and I'm adding a piece of blue painter's tape to the edge so that I can apply this with the hinge method. So I'm applying that tape down to my cup and then just wrapping it around to make sure that I'm not going to have any lumps or bumps and that it's going to fit right. And then I'm going to smooth it onto the cup the same way I would a piece of vinyl. I'm going to keep the backing on as long as possible, push the vinyl onto the cup, pushing the backing away in the process. I placed my trees pretty much at the very bottom of my cup. There is a little bit of the mica powder still showing through the bottom, but I kind of liked that little detail. I like that it's showing through the trees a little bit, but you can orient your trees on your cup however you would like to. So once I have them all smoothed down onto my cup, I'm going to very, very carefully remove my transfer tape. These trees have a lot of delicate branches, so I'm just being really careful, making sure that I don't rip any of them off accidentally or move them or anything like that. So just take your time with this step and make sure that everything is smoothed down and where you want it to be. I'm also going to add some little stars to the Northern Lights area using some paint pens. I have these Arteza markers. They came in a big pack from Amazon, and I'm using the white one and the silver one. I initially was going to use this thin silver marker, but it just didn't give me the size dots or stars I wanted, so I used the Arteza one, which is the same as the white one that I'm using now. And as you can see, I'm just randomly placing these dots all over to kind of mimic the look of a starry sky, and you can do this as sparingly or as much as you would like to. I just kind of let the paint marker take the wheel, and I did whatever just felt right. So there's that, and now I'm going to take the silver and do the exact same thing. I let the paint dry about 30 minutes, and then I went into another coat of epoxy. I took about 20 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy, spread it all over my cup, and then hit it really well with my torch. And then I let it spin about 10 to 15 minutes before I added just a little dash of glitter. I wanted the starry sky to sparkle just a little bit more, so I'm taking extra fine Firefly from PDB. Don't mind my Christmas PJs, I am very festive all the time. And I'm taking that Firefly and just holding it really, really high up and just doing these really light kind of shakes of the shaker to get just a little burst of that glitter onto the cup. You can see it's just like a very light little dusting. And then once I've got it all on the cup, I'm going to put a fresh glove on and just kind of spread it around, make it so it's not so much like a burst of glitter in one spot, and just kind of spread it out all over the cup so it has just a very slight like nighttime sky sparkle. It's very, very subtle. You definitely don't have to do this if you don't want the extra sparkle, but you know me, I gotta have some glitter somewhere. I let this cure about 4 to 6 hours and then went in with a second coat right on top of this. After that coat cured, I did all of my sanding and then added my final coat. So here is the final result. These are absolutely beautiful. I really love how they turned out, and I hope that you do as well. If you recreate this design, whether you make this Northern Lights or if you decide to go with a completely different color palette and idea, make sure you tag me in your photos at Made by MANIANDMAL. I cannot wait to see what you do with this. So here is the 30-ounce traditional that I made just left plain, and then this is the one that I made on the live in my Patreon group. This is the OG, the one that started this whole thing, and I think they're all gorgeous. And as you can see, even with the exact same technique and colors, they all turned out just a little bit different, which I really, really like. So if you liked this tutorial, make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button as well if you are not already subscribed to my channel. I make new videos every single Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, love you. Bye. What am I talking about? Okay, here we go. I got this. Let's put it together, get it together. You can do it. Words are easy for you to say, okay? Got it. Here we go.